The iron gates of Marrow Lane groaned in the twilight, welcoming Iris to the estate she had inherited but never wanted. Fog clung to the damp earth, wrapping the decaying Victorian house in a pale, quiet shroud. Iris, a pale woman in a worn gray cardigan, stood frozen on the gravel, bracing against the heavy silence of her grandmother's abandoned, decaying home. Stepping across the threshold, Iris was immediately struck by the scent of withered cedar and damp dust. As she pushed the heavy oak door shut, the hinges let out a prolonged, agonizing creak. Suddenly, a rush of freezing air swept past her ankles, carrying with it the unmistakable echo of a small child laughing from somewhere in the cavernous hallway. She tried to dismiss the sound as the settling of ancient timbers, but the house refused to remain still. In the parlor, faded velvet drapes twitched without a breeze. Iris held her breath as her eyes fixed upon her grandmother's antique, wooden rocking chair. It was swaying back and forth with a steady rhythmic creak, completely empty, heavy with unseen presence. Lighting a solitary candle to push back the gathering gloom, Iris cautiously approached the grand wooden staircase. The flickering orange light threw long, distorted shapes against the peeling floral wallpaper. Near the top landing, just at the edge of her vision, a small, child-shaped shadow darted across the steps, melting instantly into the darkness before she could even gasp. As midnight descended, the house seemed to truly awaken around her. Huddled beneath a thick quilt in the master bedroom, Iris listened in mounting horror. The plaster walls began to hum with frantic, hushed whispers. Voices without bodies murmured urgently from the floorboards and ceiling, swirling around her in an incomprehensible, terrifying chorus that made sleep completely impossible. Driven by a fearful compulsion, Iris wandered the dark corridor until she found a heavy oak door sealed shut with thick, rusted iron nails. Prying them loose with a fire poker, she forced the door open, cuffing at the plume of trapped dust. Inside was a child's bedroom, perfectly preserved, its toys and small bed completely untouched for decades. Resting on the dusty mahogany dresser was a silver-framed photograph. Iris wiped away the grime with trembling fingers. The picture showed her grandmother as a young woman, standing rigidly beside a sad-eyed little girl in a white lace dress. Iris had never seen this child before, nor had her family ever mentioned the existence of another relative living here. A sudden draft extinguished her candle, plunging the room into absolute darkness. But then, a soft, ethereal glow bloomed in the hallway. A trail of phantom candle flames ignited one by one, hovering mid-air, illuminating a path down the stairs. The unseen presence was no longer just haunting her. It was deliberately guiding her, demanding that she follow. Before she could move, the atmosphere turned suddenly violent. A deafening crash shattered the silence as the parlor window blew inward, showering the rug with jagged glass. The heavy front door rattled furiously against its locks, and the temperature plummeted to freezing. Iris backed into the wall, her heart hammering against her ribs, completely terrified by the unseen force. The phantom lights swirled aggressively toward a corner of the damaged parlor, hovering over a loose, warped floorboard. Dropping to her knees amid the shattered glass, Iris clawed at the ancient wood until it splintered away. Beneath the dust and cobwebs lay a tarnished tin box. Inside was a crumpled, tear-stained letter and a little wooden bird carved by hand. Unfolding the brittle paper, Iris read the frantic handwriting of her grandmother. It confessed to a terrible accident, a tragic fever, and a younger sister locked away in quarantine and forgotten in the panic of grief. The child had died alone, her true resting place concealed to hide the family's terrible neglect. She had been waiting decades to be found. Tears streamed down Iris's pale cheeks as she clutched the wooden bird. Wrapping her gray cardigan tightly around herself, she carried the small toy and the letter outside into the cold earth of the overgrown garden. Beneath the sprawling branches of an ancient weeping willow, she buried the keepsake with deep reverence, whispering words of love and long overdue apologies. As the final handful of earth covered the little grave, a profound shift occurred within the estate. The oppressive, freezing air lifted, replaced by a gentle, soothing warmth. Iris watched as the small, child-shaped shadow materialized one last time in the mist. The shadowy figure paused, seemed to offer a slight, peaceful bow, and dissolved completely into the night air. The long, terrifying nightlight broke, yielding to the soft, golden light of dawn. Iris walked back inside, her footsteps light and unburdened. She pulled back the heavy velvet curtains, letting the morning sun wash over the dusty wooden floors. The house on Marrow Lane was completely silent, finally empty, and holding nothing but the promise of a peaceful future.